Hey, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex, here with my monthly video on the best games coming to retail. We are heading into convention season right now. UK Games Expo is this past weekend. Origins is this upcoming weekend. We got Gen Con in August and a bunch of other conventions. And a lot of publishers like to preview games at the conventions, do a convention release, sort of a soft release, and then those games come to retail very, very shortly after the convention. But that doesn't mean we don't have a lot of great retail releases here in June. Now, this month does seem to be a little bit lighter of a month, and I don't mean that in terms of the number of games. I actually mean there's a lot of lighter games coming out. Everybody's ready for the summer season. We want some summer blockbuster games where you don't have to think a lot, but you can have a lot of fun. So that's what we got for you here. These are the best games coming to retail in June 2022. AEG is releasing Wormholes. This is a pick up and deliver game, but it does it a little bit differently. In Wormholes, players collect passengers from planets, each of whom have specific destinations they aim to reach. But you can open up wormholes on the board, and so you can, take shortcuts to get people to their locations. You can establish wormholes between different points of the galaxy, and like any good business, your service can be used by other players at the cost of a few points. So that's fun. You can open up a wormhole and control it, and then other people can pay you to use your wormhole, How many times can I say wormhole? Wormhole. This is the game Wormholes, where you open up wormholes and you use wormholes. It's a 1 to 5 player game, 45 to 60 minutes. Asmodee is releasing Pocket Master Builder, and Pocket Master Builder is a sort of like civilization building game, but it's a lighter one. And there's like a lot of civilization builder type of games. So in Pocket Master Builder, players will need to collect raw materials to construct various buildings, build walls to resist the invasion of northern barbarians, and use the King's Reward properly to speed up your progress. And so you hear me say, like, there's a lot of, this sounds similar to other games of its ilk. There's a lot of sort of construction, building type of games. So what makes this one different? What makes Pocket Master Builder different? One, it's a very small game. That's why Pocket is in the name, because it's got a small footprint. Two, it's very cheap. Asmodee, the price tag here is $12.99. So if you were looking for a cheap game, you can do that. And then the other reason is it's a 2-player game. A lot of these games are 2 to 4 players, things like that. This is a 1 to 2 player game. And it plays in about 30 minutes. So if you're looking for a quick kingdom builder game, then check out Pocket Master Builder. Asmodee is also releasing the party game Connec Team. And in this game, this is a word connection game. Think of games like Codenames or So Clover or stuff like that. This fits into that wheelhouse. Connec Team is a fully cooperative game, and the way it works is players are playing cards from their hands, and you can sort of play cards in piles, and those words connect. Like, oh, I want to play this right here because I can think of a connection between those words, or I'm going to play this over here. Once all the players have played their cards, then 2 players will look at one pile and say there are 3 words in that pile, and then on the count of 3, they're going to say one word that they think connects all of those words. And if you get that right, if both people say the same word, well, then you get a point. So like an example would be like, maybe this one pile of cards has the word desert, plant, and sharp. And then on the count of 3, we all say cactus. And if the other person also said cactus, then we get a point. So you are trying to cooperatively figure out connections between words. Definitely a party game, plays 3 to 6 players, 10 to 20 minutes play time. So if you like those word connection games, then check out Connec Team. Big Potato Games is releasing Zillionaires Road Trip USA. Ooh, do you want to pretend to be a zillionaire? What's a zillionaire? It's more than a billionaire. That's what it is. You've got all the money in the world. So if you want to play a game where you get to pretend to be a rich person on a road trip, I also think it's funny to think of zillionaires on a road trip. You think zillionaires are a road trip? No, they're taking private jets from location to location. They don't drive anywhere. Zillionaires? Come on. Zillionaires haven't been in a car since they were 15. In Zillionaires Road Trip, they say it's a mashup of Sequence and Monopoly. It is a bidding, bluffing, and buying game. So it's an auction party game is definitely the way to think of it the most. You are bidding, bluffing, and buying 49 legendary roadside attractions when they are up for sale. And the entire goal of the game is to be the first to buy 4 of these attractions in a row. Row, column, diagonal, Connect 4 style, but with bidding and auctioning on sort of roadside attractions in the USA. And you get $49 zillion to play with, to use in the game. All right. Blue Orange Games is releasing Museum Suspects. This one piqued my interest because this is a Phil Walker Harding game. And if you don't know Phil Walker Harding, he does a lot of really great accessible games, sort of welcoming games, but always fun and still have some level of strategy to them. They're not just party games. They're welcoming games that have some strategy but are fun for all ages to get into. He's one of my favorite game designers. And so Museum Suspects was designed by him. In this game, this is an investigation game with clues, twists, and turns in a museum. Ooh, you might learn something while you play this game. For those that don't know, museums are places with collections from history or art or things like that. I'm just joking. You guys all know what a museum is. So in this game, there's sort of 3 steps to the game. You are looking for a clue in one of the museum's rooms. You are covering your tracks to deceive your opponents, and then you're accusing a suspect by social deduction. So if you want a bit of a lighter deduction game, there's a decent amount of fairly heavy deduction games, crime-solving games and things like that. This one is a lighter deduction game that'll take you about 25 minutes to play, 2 to 4 players. Another real light game that is coming out is Gimme That from Dolphin Hat Games. So Dolphin Hat Games is probably most well known for taco, cat, goat, cheese, pizza. I hope I did that in order or the internet will be mad at me. The internet loves that game. Gimme That is a very fast-paced, sort of real-time, silly, frenetic game. In the game, you are trying to write the numbers 1 to 100 on your spud sheet because you are counting potatoes, so that's a silly theme. But you're trying to get to be the first to write 1 to 100. But the trick is there's only 1 pencil in the game. So one person is furiously writing, other people are rolling a dice. When the right face of the dice comes up, then someone else is like, "Give me that!" and then steals the pencil from you, and then they begin writing too. So you are... it's a game that takes 5 to 10 minutes, and it's definitely, if you want a game you can play with your kids that's sort of fast-paced and frenetic and silly, then check out Gimme That. It plays 3 to 8 players. Funko Games is releasing 3 different games to retail this month, and Funko has sort of built a niche for themselves as a company that releases games on popular IPs but the gameplay is still good. It's strategic, but it's got really thematic elements built into it. 20 years ago, games that were based on IPs were not fun. They were cash grabs and they weren't good games. They just, made a lot of money because they were based on something that everybody knew. But Funko is sort of changing that perception of IP games being cash grabs. They are making really good games that also happen to be very thematically connected to an IP. So the first of the games they're releasing this month is Rear Window. So this is based on an Alfred Hitchcock intellectual property. I think it's a movie. It's a movie. Boy, I feel like I should have looked that up before that. Alfred Hitchcock made movies, and the only reason I'm, hesitant on that is because he also made a couple of series and things like that. But this has got to be a movie. Rear Window, yeah. This is Alfred Hitchcock's masterpiece, Rear Window. It is a game of deduction and suspense. If you like that sort of 1950s murder mystery, this has got very 1950s art in it, so it kind of transports you back to that era. You are carefully observing strange clues and ominous patterns in the things going on in the apartments across the way. Was there a murder that happened? Only you can find out. So if you like Rear Window, then definitely check out this game, Rear Window, from Funko Games. Funko is also releasing Disney's Big Thunder Mountain Railroad game. So this is based on a very popular ride at Disneyland. I grew up going to Disneyland. This is a 2 to 4 player game. It's one of the best rides there, and the game looks pretty fun. So you are stepping off the stagecoach and into the cursed mining town of Tumbleweed. Will you find fortune mining the mysterious mountain or awaken its many dangers? Ooh, intriguing. So, that theme sounds very fun, but also the production of it looks pretty cool. So in the game, there is a mountain and then a sort of mining dice tray. And so you will spin the mountain and it'll have dice that come, not dice, what am I saying? Marbles. It's marbles. Dice would be harder to come out of this sort of mountain stuff. So basically you are you're turning this mountain and then marbles will come out and roll down this sort of mine tray into the bottom, and then you can take dice. And so, have you ever watched like marble racing? Well, that's kind of like this in game form. You never know where the marble's gonna go down the mine tray. And so, you gotta, once the marbles get to the bottom, you can use different marbles to place them into your mine cart. And there's also a deck building element to the game. This is like an introduction to deck building. Deck building, one of the most popular and best game mechanisms out there. So if you want sort of an introduction to game mechanism that also has this sort of, marbles, where's it gonna go aspect to it, then check out Disney Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. And the last of the intellectual property games that Funko is releasing this month of June is E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial Light Years from Home. Long name, fun game. This is a 2 to 4 player game based on E.T., which was, a movie from my childhood. In this, it's a cooperative adventure game. You play as Elliot, Gertie, Michael, and Greg, and you are working together to get E.T. home. You are trying to help him before the federal agents come in and snatch him. You are biking through the neighborhood, you're using shortcuts and ramps to avoid the agents, you're collecting items that E.T. can use to build a communication device and call his ship. One of the coolest things about this, they have really great little miniatures of all the kids on their bicycles, and there is an E.T. figure that fits into the bicycle baskets, okay? That's adorable. You can put E.T. in the miniatures bicycle basket, and that's enough for me to want to check out this game. I can put E.T. in a bicycle basket? You know I want to do that. Yeah. Oh, I love the thought of that. So if you liked E.T., well then check out E.T., the board game, coming out to retail this month. Gale Force 9 is releasing Tusk, and this is a semi-cooperative game of survival in the Stone Age. And semi-cooperative games are tough to pull off. I love the idea of them, and some of them work and other ones don't work. This one sounds like it works to me. I haven't played it yet, but in the game, the way it works is you are controlling a tribe of people, and you need food to survive. You know, it is the Stone Age. The conditions are harsh. The mammoth offers you the most food beyond your wildest dreams, but they are powerful beasts. So you and your fellow players will need to team up to hunt the woolly mammoths. But there can only be one hunt leader. And to ensure that it's you and your tribe, you'll need to manipulate alliances, hoard supplies, make use of the land's many resources to become the most powerful tribe and win the game. So you need other people's help to actually kill a mammoth, but you want to be the person that actually gets the most out of killing the mammoth. So that's a fun idea, you know, like trying to make alliances and backstabbing and stuff like that. I like social games, and Tusk seems like, you know, that type of a social game to me. Hachette is releasing Orlog, the dice game. Now, this is a game that is well known to a lot of people because it is a game from the Assassin's Creed Valhalla video game. So in the video game, the Norsemen and Anglo-Saxons play this dice game all the time in every city that they're in. And they have basically taken that dice game from the video game and made it a physical dice game, board game that you can play. It is a two-player game, and you are rolling dice and then getting bonus effects to claim victory over your opponents. And it's Yahtzee-style dice rolling, you know, setting stuff aside, re-rolling certain things, trying to get the right combinations of dice to do what you need them to do in that round. You know, you can earn favor of the gods by rolling certain dice and stuff like that. So there are faces of the dice, and then there's special benefits and stuff like that. So if you are a fan of Assassin's Creed and you've always been like, what's that dice game they're playing? Well, now you can play that dice game from the video game. You know, the world of video games and board games, not so separate anymore. There's a lot of these types of cross-pollinations going on, and I am here for it. We're all gamers. We can all hang out. Let's all be friends. Lucky Duck Games is releasing 2 games to retail this month. One is Pocket Detective. This is another detective-style deduction game. And it's called Pocket Detective because it's actually, you know, a decently sized box, but in the box are 3 cases, and those cases are done entirely by cards. You don't need a bunch of other components and stuff like that. You open a pack of cards and you start, you know, there's no rule book. You don't need a rule book. You just flip over the first card and start following what it tells you to do. And there are a bunch of leads on the cards. If you know, you see a crime scene and you're like, do you want to talk to this person? Or do you want to talk to this person? Or do you want to investigate this? Or do you want to get fingerprints? And whatever you choose to do takes you to a different deck in the deck, a different card in the deck of cards. So it's, you know, it's a game. If you just take that deck of cards, you can put it in your pocket. You can play it anywhere. I have played one scenario so far and really enjoyed it. It took about, 75 minutes or something like that to play. So, and the other nice thing is you're not destroying any cards or anything like that. So once you play through the 3 cases, you can easily, re-put the cards back in order and then give the game to somebody else to play. Lucky Duck Games is also releasing Sherlock, Case Connection. This is a competitive puzzle game. It's another somewhat deduction style game. This one's a little bit shorter and a little bit lighter than Pocket Detective. Whereas Pocket Detective might take you 60 to 90 minutes, Sherlock Case Connection is going to take you more like 30 minutes. This is using all of the art from the Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock Holmes TV show. So if you were a fan of that, it is photos from the series make up all of the cards. And basically you're just trying to find connections and threads between different cards. And you can lay out the connections and that'll help you figure out, that'll be the evidence you need to reconstruct the leads that you are pursuing. So if you want a game that you can play, you know, a deduction game that might work for kids and things like that, you know, this is an eight-year-old and up game, so a little bit lighter, that would be the reason to check this one out, Sherlock Case Connection. Pegasus Spiele is also releasing 2 games to retail this month. The first of which is First Rat, and I love this theme, okay? You are playing as rats collecting items to build a rocket to get to the cheese moon. They've been told for their whole life that the moon is made of cheese, and they want to get there and feast on the moon. I just love that theme, you know? Also, the moon is not made of cheese, you silly rats! But if you want to pretend it is, then play First Rat. This is a racing game, and there is actually a physical board you can race up, but you are trying to collect items and things like that to build the spaceship first to get you up to the moon cheese. One of the nice things is it's a strategic game that plays 5 players, so I like that. You know, a lot of games are 2 to 4 players. This is 1 to 5 players. It's really helpful adding in that 5th player sometimes when you want to play a game and you got a 5th player coming over, you know? Not every game can do it. This is a 30 to 75 minute game, and if you like racing games, this looks like a fun one, and it's got one of the best themes of any racing games out there. The other one that Pegasus Spiele is releasing is Raccoon Robbers, and this is also a racing game of sorts, if definitely a lighter racing game. You play as raccoons trying to get to the golden trash can first, because raccoons love garbage, okay? Always getting into my garbage, you dang raccoons, with your robber masks. Of course you're stealing garbage. You look like a thief. Raccoon Robbers, and the other cool thing about this game is that there are 3 boards that represent buildings, and they're dual layered and stuff like that, so you're basically moving your raccoons up these buildings, and then the higher you get up on the buildings, the more you can move forward on the sort of racing track. But there can only ever be 1 raccoon on a level of a building, so if someone else comes up there, they can knock you down, so there's definitely like a competitive climbing the building aspect to the game. And I also like the production of it. The buildings sit at like a 45-degree angle, so you are actually kind of physically going up the building with your raccoons. So I like that production value of it. Portal Games is releasing to North America Gutenberg. This is a game that came out in Europe last year, but it's finally having its retail release here in North America through Portal Games. Gutenberg is a Euro type of game, 60 to 120 minutes. I know a lot of people have really loved it so far, and in fact, I believe Tom at the Dice Tower put it on his top 10 games of 2021 list, but it was very hard to get here in North America until now. So if you want to check it out, in the game, you are trying to play as pioneers of the printing press in the 15th century. You're carrying out orders. Those orders will help you build wealth and fame, and then you can use that wealth and fame to improve your printing workshops, gain support of patrons, and you will develop production capacity. One of the coolest things about it is there are actually gears in the game, you know, that work together and stuff like that. So production value-wise, it looks super cool. I don't know that many other games that have physical gears in it, and I love that. You are bidding on specific actions, and those actions are going to help you develop your workshop, acquire new fonts, inks, decoration. The unique system of rotating gears always allows you to combine bonuses and earn a large number of points. So I want to move those gears, baby. Give me bonuses. I love bonuses. There is nothing in games I want more than a bonus. You tell me I get something extra? Well, I want that extra, okay? I live for extra. So if you've heard people talking about Gutenberg, well, now is your chance to get it here in retail in North America. The Op is releasing 2 games to retail here as well. The first is Disney's Sorcerer's Arena Epic Alliances Core Box. Whew, it's a mouthful. Can you say it fast? Disney Sorcerer Arena Epic Alliances Core Box. Boom, nailed it. I'm great. This is sort of a arena-style game, where you're fighting other characters, but all the characters are Disney characters. People like Mickey, Gaston, Aladdin, Sully from Monsters, Dr. Maleficent, Ariel. A lot of different characters that you can be in this. You combine the cards of your character into a single deck, and then you're playing standard actions and cards from your hand to move characters around the arena and attack opponents. So, the arena combat games, there's a lot of them, but this is one that has a Disney theme and is a little bit lighter in terms of the gameplay. This is not going to take you 3 hours to play. This is going to take you, 35, 40 minutes to play a game of this. And obviously they say it's the core set, so I imagine throughout time they are going to be releasing more characters that you can play as, new expansions that you can add to this box of characters. And in fact, they say multiple expansions will be released for the game line to allow for more team combinations. So yeah, and the other nice thing about it is you can get upgrades for your characters, you can get special abilities over multiple games and stuff like that. So if you want to level up your characters and you want those characters to be Disney characters, well then this one seems like a fun one for that reason. The Op is also releasing a party game called Venn, and this is another game that sort of is about creating connections, a la the same world as Codenames or So Clover or things like that. But in this game, you're doing it not with words, you're doing it with photos. And the photos are all sort of wacky and nonsensical. It'll be a tiger flipping the switch for an electrical outlet, or it'll be a fish singing into a microphone, things like that, And so one of the interesting things about it is, what a Venn diagram is. A Venn diagram is, allowing for a connection between certain things. And so in this game, you can place cards. You have 3 words that you're trying to get people to guess out of a possible 12 words. And so you can play photo cards from your hand, and you can either play them in the sort of circles by themselves, or you could also play a card in the overlapping area of those circles. So I might have one card here that are representing 2 different words, but I want to make that connection stronger, so now I put a new card here in between the 2 circles, and that helps people decide, oh, those are these 2 words, because that feels like a combination of those 2 words. So it's a fun game about creating combinations of words, but doing it through these fun artwork, photo, wacky cards. So yeah, I have had a chance to play that one, and I enjoyed it a lot. That's it for the sort of base games that I'm going to talk about, but every month I do often try to include 1 or 2 expansions that I think people would be excited about. This video is not focused on expansions, but I include them every once in a while. So one is Stonemaier is releasing Viticulture World Cooperative Expansion. And I want to mention that this is available in June direct through Stonemaier. It will be going into a larger retail release in July, but you can get it right now direct through Stonemaier's website, and so I wanted to mention that for anybody that is excited about Viticulture World Cooperative expansion. Viticulture is a well-known game from Stonemaier about sort of building up a wine vineyard. It is a worker placement, Euro-y style game, but right now this expansion changes. The original game is a competitive game. This makes it cooperative, which is tough to pull off, but I've watched some videos about it and people say it's great. People say they really pulled it off. They really turned Viticulture into a cooperative experience. So if you've always wanted to play it but you're not in love with competitive games, well, now they've got a cooperative version of Viticulture. The other expansion I want to mention here is an expansion to Star Wars Outer Rim, which is a very beloved game, and this expansion is called Unfinished Business. This is, Star Wars Outer Rim is a pretty epic space game, takes 3 hours to play, all that sort of stuff. Well, an Unfinished Business, it packs it with more of everything the game has to offer. Characters, ships, gear, bounties, jobs, encounters, dice, and more. I can't believe there's more. I just said so many things. There's more than those things I just said. Wow, there is a lot packed into this expansion. So if you are a huge fan of Star Wars Outer Rim, well, this expansion is finally here. So that's what I got for you this month. Those are the best games coming to retail in North America in June 2022. Thanks so much for joining me. I really enjoy doing these videos. Please like and subscribe and, send it to other people or any of that sort of stuff if you so choose. If you know people that like to go out and get games immediately and don't want to wait for a year from a Kickstarter campaign, well, you can go out and get these immediately. So thanks so much for joining me. I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex.